Uh, hey everyone. You look lovely in
Oh,
pink.
thank
Okay.
you.
See, Tess just said, okay, hey, loving the pink. I do too. It's really pretty.
Thank you.
Okay, let's one more go. If not, we're gonna have to come back. But I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Because it said you couldn't join. And now it's saying she can't join. Oh my gosh, why? This is so weird. Okay, maybe if she sends the request, because I'm sending the request. Let's see. Let's try that. So Autumn, she's in here, right? I believe so. Autumn, maybe try sending the request, and then I can answer it. Because I don't think it's letting me add you. You might have to come back. I don't know. I don't want to do that, but it's looking like that's the next step. Does this always happen to you too, or is it? I don't know. Is it just?
I haven't done it with more than one person.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. So yeah, that's like a. Okay, so we're just gonna start, and we're gonna keep our fingers crossed that Autumn can rejoin. I think she's like trying to reboot her stuff.
Okay.
And back in. So fingers crossed she can come back.
Okay.
But it's like after, so I want to get her started and then keep hope that she can join. But how are you? We're so happy to be joined by you and to have you here with us today. Thank you for saying yes to GGE. Thank you for to be a part of the work that we do. I'll kick us off and introduce myself, and then I will pass you the mic, of course. Hello, everyone. Y'all used to see my face on these lives by now. This is like the fifth one, I think. This is Tony. I am she, her pronouns. I am GGE's Director of Culture and Narrative Shift. This is In My Black Feminist Bag, our collective celebration of Black Features Month, Women's Herstory Month, and we are showcasing and holding these IG Lives as a way to be a medium and a bridge between the work that we do and to reach young people, specifically cis and trans Black girls. Hey, Brian, in the work that we do and gender expansive young people across the country. I believe Black feminism, of course, is for everybody and to be tangible and accessible to young people, especially. So thank you, Madison, for agreeing to be here. And I'm going to pass you the mic to introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. For those who don't know me, my name is Madison Star Brim. I am an artist, a fashion designer, and a full spectrum doula. And yeah, that's what I do.
Amazing. Okay, I see she's back. I'm gonna send one more invite, keeping the hope alive. Okay, let's kick this conversation off. So how are you celebrating Women's History Month? Oh my God, I think we got lucky. Okay, it's coming. But how are you celebrating Women's History Month?
I guess just by being a woman. There's nothing specifically that I'm doing to celebrate, because this is a 24-hour, 7 days a week.
I know that.
So I don't really, I'm not like, woo, like, I'll be honest, I'm just more so grateful to be in the skin that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. I echo a lot of that. It's funny when I'm asking folks these questions, I'm always thinking, well, what am I doing this month? And how am I celebrating? Because I'm like, yeah, I think it's true that we do this every day, but I do think that some days should be a little, a little special than most because as Black women, we don't get to celebrate ourselves enough. But thank you. So, of course, understanding in the work that GGE does, we center cis and trans Black girls, gender expansive young people. We do this work through through different ways: policy organizing, culture shift, which is what we're doing a little bit of now, and service work. For our young people who are tuned in, the young people that we work with, what should they know about Madison?
Oh, I like that question. I guess young people should know about me that I'm in their corner. I feel like a lot of my work is centered around making it easier for the generations that come after me. So I really do care about the young people. I consider myself a young person. So you know what I mean? I feel like I'm in amongst that group of people. So it's very important for me to just say that I'm here. I'm a part of the team. I'm here to be a support and hopefully to share some insight today that can inspire them and uplift them to feel like they can do whatever it is that they want to do, because we need each other. So I'm just here as a bridge, I feel like, most importantly, and as a way to support and inspire. And I want to say, I guess I am celebrating by doing this live. So that's how I'm celebrating.
About it. I love that. So yes, you're celebrating by doing this live, and I love that you shared about like doing things on purpose. It's what I feel like you're talking about right now, making sure that the work that you do is felt by generations after you. And that is something I think that is so important, not only just for myself, but at the forefront of the work that GGE does. We're an intergenerational organization, understanding that we know that it takes not just one generation to make systemic change and to censor Black girls in the way that they should be censored. It takes different generations to do this work, and we're all healing together, but we'll talk a little bit more about healing later. But to talk about new things and new beginnings, you're a recent graduate of HBCU, a very, very well-known HBCU, Howard University. How did your time at Howard, and what did you study, and how did it inform your Black feminism and womanism? And we asked this question also because, of course, we have a lot of young people who are looking to go to college, thinking about their college process, thinking about their college journeys. And oftentimes, I know for myself, I always identified as a feminist, but I understand and I learned the difference about my Black woman identity and how that sits in feminism when I started college. I think I was like on my way to learning that my senior year of high school. And then when I got to college, I was like, oh, this is how my world is tremendously different than the feminism I was taught in high school. So yeah, how did Howard inform your Black feminism or womanist journey?
I've That's a great question, because during my time at Howard, I graduated in 2020. So during my time at Howard, for every 7 men that were on campus, there were 14 women. So women, I'm pretty sure it's still like that today, women were running things on campus. My relationships with women at Howard have gotten me job opportunities, not only career opportunities, but honestly, real sisterhood and friendship. That has been the greatest gift that Howard has given me, was the sisterhood and friendship. But that network actually spreads out and becomes tangible in spaces that we're trying to enter. So I would say that is how I feel like it's impacted my life on the surface. But digging deeper, I definitely learned so much more about Black women's role in the freedom movement, in every movement that we have today, and how it's really been Black women and women of color to rally around certain ideas and issues within the community and come up with solutions that included everybody. And that's been such a blessing, because we're not taught that in history in grade school. We're not taught about the women, the Black women who rallied around Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and propped him up to be the great that he was. You know what I mean? We're not taught about the Betty Shabazes and what that meant to a Malcolm X. You know what I mean? We don't talk about these things enough. And it really inspired me to be that woman, those women who I talked about, those women who stood on the necks of inequitable systems and dismantled them in ways that they knew how. Like they say freedom is fought and won in every generation, and I pray that the work that I do will give way to freedom for mine.
Thank you. That was so beautifully put. And I think it's so important that we acknowledge that, and that is the space where you learn that, because It's true. Like, I talk about this all the time. It's an anchoring point for these conversations that we've been having, that Black women have always been at the forefront of movements. We've created them, we've led them, and then they've been robbed of the movement, being the faces of movement, simply because they were women, right? So when we talk about Rosa Parks, right, and all the things that she did, not just the bus boycott, right? When we talk about the sexual assault, IPV advocacy work she did in the South, right? No one talks about that because it's not a thing that people are aware of, unfortunately. When we talk about even Martin Luther King, you brought up, right, in his I Have a Dream speech, like, he did not, well, one, he didn't write that speech, but that's another conversation. But had it not been for Mahalia Jackson, he would have not given that speech, right? She's the one who helped him catapult and give that message, right? So I think it's really important, like you said, that Black women are centered in these movements, and not just centered, but at the forefront in creating them. And it's important that we talk about it and that we acknowledge it. So thank you for highlighting that. I want to shift gears a little bit. You pulled up today in your Thursday's best. It's giving close to Gabe. I love the earrings. I love the pink. You're doing it, right? So you're a trendsetter. You are a fashion guru. Where do you draw and pull your fashion inspiration from? And specifically, how important is centering Black women and their representation in fashion to you?
Oh, I love this question. So I pull inspiration from anything. As a creative, I could see anything and pull inspiration. So that is that's just like given. That's something that just works in the background of my mind if I see something that I really like. But something that definitely inspires me though is travel, architecture, art, colors, music. Those things all lend themselves to creating the art piece that is fashion. I feel those things all lend themselves to expanding conversation around like art and what does fashion look like in the art space, So I feel like they all work in concert together, and fashion is just another one of those mediums that you can express yourself through creatively. And what was the last part of the question?
Like, how important is the representation of Black women in your fashion, the work that you do?
Oh yeah.
And then yeah.
Oh, I love that question, because that's literally why I started my business and my brand, Madison Star Couture, because I wanted to see Black women at the forefront of a luxury fashion label. So I created, and I wanted to prioritize us because we buy the brands, we popularize the brands, yet only a certain look or a certain body type or a certain skin color will be on the face brands in these campaigns. It's usually the same type of woman generation after generation that's accepted. However, what would things look like if we made our own luxury brands and we popularized our clothing and we instead supported each other, as opposed to seeking out that validation from these corporations who don't care about us. We might as well create our own and have our own thing, because we get much further that way, and we can decide how we want to be represented. And granted, it doesn't just need to be for Madison Star Couture. Black women and women of color will always be at the forefront and always be the face, but we're telling the stories of the experiences of women everywhere. And that is what I hold so dear about my brand, is that we are inclusive and expansive, and in a lot of ways we'll be leading, all of us young people are leading a different and a new way of being and thinking when it comes to what we invest into.
Thank you. I think, okay, first, hi, Autumn. I'm so happy that you're able to join. I was up, wait a minute. This happened to me last week too. Okay, I was talking to the young person, they just kind of like faded away. Hi, I'm gonna pause really quick before I respond to what you said, Madison, and give Autumn to intro herself. It's all good. I know we're always going through some tech struggles, but it is okay. So hey, talk to the folks. Tell them who you are, Autumn.
My name is Autumn, pronouns are she, her, and I'm in SIS. So yeah.
Thank you. And for folks watching, SIS is one of GGE's programs, one of our direct service programs, short for Sisters in Strength, and that is the space where young people focus on healing from intimate partner violence, sexual abuse, and all those things that happen. So thank you for being in this space with us, Autumn. And it's also a space for folks who are healing and their allies. So thank you for joining. We are and I want to just shift back a little bit to what you responded to, Madison. And I want to echo a little bit of what you shared about that, because I think when people think about fashion, often, even I was just not reminiscing, but reflecting on Law Roach and his retirement, like 2 days ago, I think. I don't know what time is anymore, but just how important Black women, Black queer folks are to fashion, and how none of these trends would exist without us. So thank you for spotlighting that and the specific importance of inclusivity and what that looks like for Black women of different journeys, of different lifestyles and trajectories as well. I'm going to pass the mic over to Autumn so you can get your voice in the space, because it's important that we do that. Do you have anything you want to ask Madison right now?
All right. I got a question. It goes, what's been your greatest career moment / accomplishment so far, and how has your spiritual journey played a role in achieving that?
Ooh, good question. I would say starting. People underestimate how hard it is to start something, child. It's hard. My greatest career accomplishment is the fact that I haven't stopped yet. I swear, it's been such a journey and a blessing to do what I do, but it takes a lot of courage and a lot of faith. And spirituality is the cornerstone of my life. I wouldn't just say like, oh, I had a spiritual awakening or anything like that. It's being, however you are grounded in your relationship with God, the creator, Allah, whomever you want to call it, however you're grounded in that will ultimately shape the way in which you live your life. If you don't have faith, then you have fear. So it's about being discerning about the energy that you choose to walk with on a daily basis.
Yes. I love it. You have faith, you have fear. And I think that goes with something else. I feel like I know someone who says it's like faith over fear, or like my mom always said, you have to have like faith as small as a mustard seed. I'm like, girl, I know. Important, because oftentimes, especially for Black folks, Black women, Black girls who have dreams and ambitions, you're often told it's too big, you need to think smaller, dream a little smaller. And people are always trying to talk fear into our plans. Autumn, I know you probably relate to when you tell someone, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and you have a friend, or maybe it's a classmate, or even your parents sometimes, and they're like, oh, I don't think that's good for you. I don't think that's right. And I feel like that starts with Black girls, especially so young. And it's a lot of undoing as you get older to rethink and reimagine, well, no, what can I do? Like, I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of, and not allowing people and their outside noise to infiltrate how you see yourself and what you know to accomplish. So thank you for shining a light on that. I really think that the work that you've done in your career really speaks a lot for itself. I want to shift a little bit away from fashion, but we'll come right back to it. But I know fashion isn't the only way that you express yourself. You're also a recording artist. And we thought, when we were promoting the conversations, we thought your freestyle, your rap over Telfie by Maya the Dawn was phenomenal. So let's talk about, how did music find you? How did you find your purpose in music? And what have you enjoyed the most about making music? And if you were to describe your sound or the music that you do to others, how would you describe it? I know that was a lot of questions, but I'm just excited.
All right, I'll go one by one. So, music, I was born into a musical family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't like this. I grew up in studios. I grew up around artists. It's very second nature to me. I recorded like my first like baby song and I was 8 years old. Like I probably had like one lyric, but they let me do it. So, you know, I was younger than 8 probably. And I would say that is what inspires me, is the fact that I've already been within it. I've already been a part of the culture. In a lot of ways, my family is the culture. So it just was it was something that was second nature to me, to be honest. I wish I could give you like a more like I went through this, like it wasn't really like that for me. I've always written. I'm a writer first, and I feel like people who have followed my journey for a long time know that about me. I've always been a writer. I've always been intentional with my words. So I've always written music. I just never really shared it with anybody until I decided, like, hey, I'm just gonna do it. Why not? This will be fun, you know? And it's been such a blessing for me because it's allowed me to use my voice in ways that I haven't before, and to speak on things that I haven't yet. And that's been such a blessing. To describe my sound to somebody, that's a good question, because I'll be honest, as I feel like it's still developing. There's no one way I would describe my sound. I feel like it's still developing and becoming, and I look forward to watching it grow. You know, to come back a year from now and it'll be a whole different conversation. So I won't give it a title just yet. I'll say it's still in the process. It's still becoming.
Nice. I like that. I really liked when you talked about, I'm gonna pull it out for you a little bit. If you don't want to, that's cool too. But I love when you're talking about, you come from a musical family, that you do. And I think it's really important when things are just like around you and you're surrounded by at a young age. I think for me, I didn't really have, I feel like there were a few things that were surrounding me at a young age that didn't really rub off, but other things rubbed off me, right? So my mom grew up like doing hair in Jamaica, right? And she grew up like in Jamaica. So there's a few things about that I picked up, like growing up. I love designing, I love sewing, still things that I do today. You know, not really on the hair stuff, but you know, I do what I can when
Right.
I can. But I think it's important that we talk about how environment influences you, and how, I guess, like, you carry on traditions that your family has held, right? And I think that's an important part too. Do you want to like share? I mean, because it's all in the face, right? Like, we know who the family is when we see the face, because I think y'all look just alike. But for folks who aren't aware of your family, her story, do you want to share with the folks like your background and the blueprint of the work that you do?
Oh yeah. Sure. My mom is Misa Hilton. So, and my father is Jojo Brim. So, they are two pillars in hip hop culture and fashion and music. And they are the shoulders that I stand on in the work that I do. So
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing. Autumn, do you wanna, I'm gonna pass the mic to you because I want your voice in the conversation.
All right. I know you worked with Missy Elliott and City Girl on their video for Twerkulator, and which was phenomenal. I ain't gonna hold you. Every lucky day. Do you have other dream clients you'd love to style?
yes, I would love to work with everybody. All the rap girls, I would love to work with them. Doja Cat, I love.
Ooh,
She's
I can
super
see that. Mm-hmm.
super creative, super dope. I love Doechii. I think she's phenomenal. I'm trying to think. Meg, I love Meg. You know, I'm really a supporter of the rap girls though.
Mm-hmm.
I think Desti Or is super fly. I love her style. Flo Millie is incredible. Oh, her, I love her. Yeah, I love all the girls. I would love to do exclusive pieces for everyone I named and more, whoever comes across. Oh, Rhapsody, of course, that's like my big sis, my mentor. Just yeah, like so I would do pieces for all the girls, all of them.
Yeah, and I for sure see it, especially with like Doechii. I can see Meg. I can see all of that, and I love that you're not only, I mean, I want to call you one of the rap girls. Like, I think you're one of the rap girls. You know, speaking that into the sense. And I love that you center the rap girls in the work that you want to do. And I loved how also, just to go back a little bit and talk about blueprint and intergenerational work, right?
Right.
I love how mom centered the rap girls and the girls who I think in the industry back then were seen as othered, right? Like, well, what do we do with her? Like, we don't know what to do with her because she's so edgy, quote unquote, right? I would love to talk about, I see you leading powerful revolutions in fashion. I'm paving the way for this generation where we're consistently merging hip hop, fashion, high fashion, and Black women. How do you set and blaze your own trail while staying connected to the blueprint and to your past and merging Herstory, if that makes sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. I love this. I keep saying I love these questions.
We like that you love them.
I think that this is a great question because, like to your point earlier, my mom did the same thing. Mm-hmm. She sent the rap girls and provided a avenue for them to be seen in the light that they already walked with, right? She, with the work that she did with them, such as Lil Kim or Remy or Foxy or Trina, you know, the list goes on and on. She elevated their light and it allowed them to be seen in ways that people tried to push them out of. And I feel like of course, I stand on that legacy 110%. That's what inspires me and is the reason why I feel so clear about the direction that I want to take Madison Star Couture in and taking it in, because we are all Meg. We are all Doechii. We are all Kim. We are all Foxy. You know what I mean? Like, us as Black women, we have to elevate each other's voices. So taking that idea from the rap girls and looking at it like for all the girls, you know, for all of us, and being able to relate to and speak life into one another and celebrate each other through creativity. I feel like that has been the true gift of watching my mom do what she did. Of course, we see it as hip hop and the culture, and that's exactly what it is too. But there was an element there where it was like, we see each other and elevate you and uplift you through style and creativity and bring out what's already there. So that way the world can see your gift and your power in a way that maybe they weren't able to before.
Yeah. And I think there's also a level, I keep talking about and bringing it back to healing, because I'm going to ask a little bit more about your spiritual, journey in a second, and why is that important also for Black girls to connect with in terms of their own wellness. But I think there's also something very deeply healing about that, right? Because oftentimes, if we even talk to young people, Autumn can probably attest to this too, about the ways how they're treated when they enter different spaces, right? When you enter a lot of like white centered spaces, a lot of mainstream spaces that are not catered to you, where people don't care about how you talk, they don't care about where you're from. And I think there's a lot to be said about the work that you do, the work that your family did, and where that comes from in terms of what it means for Black women to heal each other, right? And to make it less hard for each other to be seen. I always talk about, if I'm entering a room and I see another Black woman, I'm gravitating to that person. If I'm the only one there and she's the only one there, I'm like, okay, let me on over, right? Because that's like natural to us. So I think it's also so important that we talk about just how healing it is for you to enter a space where people are telling you need to tone it down, you can't do that, you can't do that. And for someone like Madison and someone like Miso or someone like myself to be able to connect with someone and say, actually, no, you can do that, how we uplift you, and this is how we get it done. So thank you for sharing that. Gonna shift gears just a little bit. On your page, and I think even in this conversation, we talk about healing, we talk about spirituality. I know how important it is to you. Specifically on this conversation, you were like, so like we got to talk about what the Black girls need to stay spiritually well, and I'm here for it. So what has your, I mean, I know earlier you said it wasn't like an awakening, but what has your spiritual journey been for you? And if you were to give Black girls, any advice on how they can show up for themselves spiritually and what kind of steps they can take for their healing? What kind of advice would you give, and like how did that impact your work as well?
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't really an awakening. Like, it wasn't an awakening. I feel like I just sort of I always had strong faith. Always. And I feel like so many of us are born with that. So many Black women and women of color, that is our natural disposition. Caribbean women, because I'm Jamaican as well. That's our natural disposition.
Yeah.
See things and understand how they're going to play out. We can solve things in a matter of minutes, in terms of being able to find solutions that benefit everyone involved. It is a gift. And I feel like this world tries to take that from us, and they demonize us, and they say that, oh, you'll hear like crazy things like, oh, Beyonce's a witch or something. Like, girl, they just start to say all type of things, and you're like, wait, hold on.
Right.
Like, but
like, be for real.
Yeah. I think it's important to bring that up. And the reason why is because that is our natural disposition, and that's our power source. And the moment that we give that away to other people, we lose our connection to source. And that's dangerous. So, and honestly, that is the same tools that the colonizers use to put us in the that we're in today. So a lot of people feel very fearful about spirituality. They feel very fearful about ancestral veneration. But I'm here today to say to you that these things are not only things that shouldn't be feared, they're things that should be celebrated and talked about more. Because if we're going to dismantle inequitable systems and begin to have conversations around what rebuilding looks like in this society, then we have to go back to the way our ancestors did things. And I'm not saying we got it, you know what I'm saying? Like, not in the literal way, but in the figurative sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes both. And sometimes both. Our community and our traditions created our culture. We exclude certain people. We didn't disrespect or dismiss or have intimate violence in our systems. And we have to recognize that that's what's going on here. The survival mode that the system puts us in completely displaces us from our power. And then they're going to demonize your ancestors. And tell you that that's necromancy and devil worship and all type of nonsense. And I just would say, like, for me, having that strong spiritual connection and faith is what has allowed me to impact so many people, and it has allowed me to use my gift with a purpose, to be mindful about what I'm saying in my music, because I understand the power of the tongue, to be clear on what my purpose is for Madison Star Couture, to work in Black maternal health. It gave me a clear sense of purpose, because I wasn't allowing this world to dictate what my purpose was through just one career path, or having these finances, or being seen. Because a lot of times people compromise themselves to gain attention, and to lose, and in that case, you lose respect for yourself. So I feel like spirituality, like I said, I would never call it a spiritual awakening, because we all have some level of spiritual awareness. It's just a matter of what you do with it and how you use it, and then what that has the possibility to grow into. So yeah.
Thank you. And I got a question for you, Autumn. So, hold on, I'm coming for you. But I want to just quickly respond to what you're saying, because something that echoed in my mind as you spoke is the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house.
Absolutely.
Right? And oftentimes when we talk about ATR, so African traditional religions, ancestral venerations, Black folks, they shun their nose to it. They, like, what is that? Like, that's not what I do. I do XYZ. And I'm like, that's all good and it's fine. But I think it's important, as you said, that we're giving space and giving room as Black folks to, oh no, we lost Madison, but I'm going to keep talking. Giving space for Black folks to enter into their own spiritual journeys, whatever that may look like, because it's important that we're not just relying on the colonizers' tools to get free, right? Because if we rely on the colonizers' tools to get free, that's not going to help us. That's not going to lead us to freedom, because it hasn't. And they're just teaching us to hate ourselves in plethora of ways. While we work on getting Madison back, I got a question for you, Autumn. So what does wellness look like for you? I know we're talking about spiritual journeys. So I'm curious, what do you have spiritual rituals or things that you practice? What is your wellness journey? How does Autumn take care of? Yes, Madison's back.
Hi guys, sorry.
It's Autumn. Some of what I said, I was just out here like, we got to come back to colonizer with something. And I think spirituality is one way for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you. And I was exploring with Autumn, what are your wellness rituals, your spiritual rituals that help you connect to your purpose? But also just like things that you do to take care of yourself. Like, what does that look like for you and your community?
Okay, so ritually, I would say praying, because I'm a Muslim, so we pray like every day type thing, and reading Quran type thing. But my wellness would be doing a self-care, doing something I like to do, enjoying them. Yeah. Going for a book or reading a book and like.
Yeah, one that you're reading right now.
I was reading, I think it's called Dear White Friend. Yeah, that's what it's called. And it talks about how Black people say things that's racist and how white people say things that's racist, and they try to play it off by making side comments and stuff. So yeah.
Nice, thank you. And I want to ask a really quick follow-up question, Autumn, as well. In terms of like your friendships or where you see your purpose sitting, how do you navigate your purpose amongst like your friends? I know earlier we talked about, maybe folks are around you and they're talking fear into your plans and fear into how you feel about yourself. And I know that is like something that's super pertinent and happening every day with young people, peer pressure, all the things, right? So how have you navigated that journey, like, of people telling you can't do this, or you're or whatever, or have you experienced that? Because maybe you haven't, and that is amazing if you haven't. I love that for you.
Well, with my friends, I don't think so. I really have, but with family, I have. Cause like I remember there was a time when I was like I wanted to be a FBI or go to the military or something, and they was coming at me talking about, oh, a Muslim girl shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that, she should be staying home and stuff like that. And I'm like, what? Like, who told you? Like, I could be a girl and still be Muslim and still do the things I want to do. My religion don't got nothing to do with that. And it made a whole argument with my sisters and my mom. And it's like, I felt some type of way, because it's like, how you telling me I can't do something with a world full of opportunities? Like, you never know. Something could always pop up for me as a Muslim girl, So, yeah. I just feel shy. And after that, I don't really tell them, like, what I want to do and stuff like that, because I know they're going to turn me down anyway. So I just keep it to myself.
That's real, and I for sure hear that. And I think it goes back to Madison, what you were sharing earlier about like just how much colonizers have infiltrated our spiritual spaces, right?
Yeah.
Only, like, where have we learned that, right? That's patriarchy. Patriarchy, which is colonizers, which is Western, have taught us in all instances, whether it's Christianity, Islam has taught us that girls can't do this, they can't do that, women are supposed to be behind, right? Those are things made by patriarchy, which is made by white people, y'all. That's made by white men, and we don't stop to that. So I commend you for sharing with your family that that's not how I feel about myself. That's not my journey, and that I'm empowered, right? So I think that is so important. Thank you for sharing that with us and being vulnerable to share that, Autumn. I'm going to shift gears to you, Madison, and you mentioned previously when you were sharing about your spiritual journey, being a full spectrum doula. And I think that is so, so, so important, especially in this specific moment where America is in a crisis. I think no matter, of course, it's worse when you don't have the resources, when you're low income, when you're working class, you're treated completely worse, right? But then we also talk about the ways that we've seen even celebrities, right? People who are out of our tax bracket be treated in terms of giving birth. We have like Serena's stories, we have Beyonce's stories, we have all these stories about folks who were basically looking death in the face because doctors don't listen to Black folks. They don't see Black women's pain. They don't think it's real. In America, Black women are 3 times more likely to die from childbirth, and that is nuts to me. That is insanity. So how has that journey been for you? Like, what was your deciding factor to start your journey in becoming a doula? And then more specifically, how have supporting Black birthing folks helped transform you?
Yes. Uh, hmm. So what made me start? What made me start was the Black maternal mortality rate, and recognizing that one day I'm gonna have a child. One day my sisters will have children or more children. My cousins, the women in my family, the women that I care about are all going to be faced with this. And this is knowledge that is, again, intergenerational
Mm-hmm.
and very special to have. And a lot of the trauma that we experience as Black women, it starts before there, but that is a pivotal point for a lot of Black women where they recognize just how much this system does not care about us. And my goal was to make sure that Black women have the uh, tools, the information, the knowledge, and the support that they need in order to have successful, transformative, and peaceful births. You know, we want to take the trauma out of birthing. And really, this is something that goes back to the granny midwives on slave plantations, where doctors had to come to them to learn how to properly deliver a baby, where the white male doctors would have to sign off on babies that Black granny midwives on slave plantations delivered. So this is something that is deeply integrated into our ancestral DNA, something that we've been doing, something that we will continue to do. And that to me is, it's as simple as that, you know. That's what makes it so special to me, is the fact that I'm able to not just only positively impact the mother's birthing experience, but set her up for success and to have support while she enters this journey of raising a child. That to me is so incredibly special. And you know, it's transformed me in so many ways, and I'm just so grateful to be more of a I was already extremely empathetic, but more empathetic, more aware of people's emotions, more conscious of my own energy, and having a self-awareness. Because when you get into those spaces and a child is about to come earthside, it's all about energy at that point. If the mother is tense, the child is not going to come.
Mm-hmm.
That if she's uncomfortable with something, it's just not going to happen. So energy, and being aware of energy as the first form of communication has been the shift for me and the transformation for me.
Yes, that is so important that you talk about that. And I remember reading something a few weeks ago, because I'm always like reading things to learn more about like Black folks and birthing and what that experience is like. I mean, a few years ago, I also wanted to like become a doula. I was like, I want to do this. This looks really fulfilling. I want to tap into this. So you know, on my radar, on my vision board somewhere.
Yeah.
We lost. This is hilarious. Technology is gonna technology though.
Right.
But I focus on just like the journey that specifically Black women take, and I think a lot of women take, but focusing on Black women right now, take once they find out that they're pregnant, or once they share with their partners that they're pregnant. Like that's oftentimes when different levels of abuse in a relationship start. Right?
Absolutely.
I've seen statistics where financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse have skyrocketed after women have revealed to their partners, specifically Black women, revealed to their partners that they are with child, right? It's just about when I love when you said that that should be a peaceful time, right? And unfortunately, I know so many Black women who share the opposite about their journeys while they were pregnant. It was not a peaceful time. It was probably one of the most traumatic times for them.
Yes.
And it really hurts me often that a lot of women that look like us don't have positive pregnancy journeys. So I love, the goal is to really shift that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. I want to talk a little bit about, before we get into, I'm like watching the time. We have a few questions in the inbox that I want to get to, but I have to ask before I shift to the audience. And thank y'all for being here, rocking with us for an hour. We love to see it. We thank you for joining. But really quickly, so what has been the greatest career moment and accomplishment for you so far? I know you do a ton of things, right? We've talked about music, we talked about fashion, we talked about entrepreneurship, styling, being a doula. What is maybe one thing that has brought you like you like had the moment and you were like, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Okay, so I also, my mom styles and designs, I design and style occasionally. So just to clarify that.
I love to see it.
Yeah, there is a difference.
Got it.
Designing is more of my forte. What was, like I said earlier, starting. I want young people especially to know, like, it just start somewhere. You know what I mean? When I got to college my freshman year, my best friend and I knew that we wanted to have our own clothing line. And I think that was the seed that developed into what I have today as Madison Star Couture. On top of the fact that my mom, before online boutiques took their first breath in 2008, my mother started Madison Star Couture. And that was, she led that race, and now in her doing so, I've picked up the baton and I'm able to take it to where it's meant to be. You know, sometimes the things that we're doing now are for future generations to build on top of. And I feel like my mom starting in 2008 and me picking it back up all these years later is a great example of that. And like I said, just to answer the question, just start. Everyone has to start somewhere. And don't feel embarrassed. People are going to talk about you. Everyone's going to have their opinions. It's going to be annoying. But the people who see you and support you always will. And those who do not, so what? They're not stopping anything unless you let them.
One month stop, no show.
Yep. They're not starting anything. I mean, they're not stopping anything, excuse me, unless you let them. So start. Yeah. And do what you feel called to do. Don't do what's popular. Don't try to repackage yourself until you think what people want to see, because they want to see you and your authenticity. That's what people, now more than ever, maybe a couple years ago, we still, the propped up package of perfectionist are looking for the authenticity and the truth behind the smoke and mirrors. So don't feel like you're not enough. Don't feel like you have to change. No, start. And start by being yourself and loving yourself and accepting yourself. That way it will hurt less when people do or do not.
I think that message is so important, especially for young people, especially for Black women. Oftentimes we have that perfectionist in the back of our minds, like, no, it has to look a certain way, has to feel a certain way. I know, even like talking with one of my really, really close friends about her like spiritual wellness business she wants to start. She's a licensed clinical social worker. It's like, no, I can't. It's not gonna look good. I only have like 5 posts on my page. I'm not gonna start until I can like have at least like 12 or 20 IG posts. And I'm like, girl, like the follow things are gonna come. Like you just have to start somewhere, right? Like start no matter what. And I love that so much. Hey Madison, we're happy to have you back. Gonna shift a little bit over to questions because I'm mindful of time and folks' time. We have a few questions here in the box. Feel free to send more over, folks, if you have them on your hearts. So someone asks, Madison and Tony spoke about their family, her stories and environment, and the ways those impacted your lives with finding fashion, music, hair, design, and styling. This question is for you, Autumn. Autumn, what are some of your passions that you're exploring? Do you how your family or environment has played a role in that?
Yeah.
Okay. This person was ready. Some of the some of the things I'm exploring will be fashion. And yeah, fashion. And my family has played a good role actually in fashion because it's like they bought me a machine, a sewing machine and whatever, right? So it's like they didn't really mind me being somebody that's into fashion and stuff like that. So I would say they like did an okay job in actually supporting me with me being somebody that's like being a fashion some designer, something like that, because I always wanted to be a fashion designer, so it was just thoughtful for them to get it for me. And they didn't really like put up a fire or anything. They was just like, okay, here, a gift for you. And I was like, and I was really surprised because I didn't think that's something they would do as religious people. But yeah, so I would say they played a good role in it. So
Hey, I got a little follow-up question before I ask this next question. Is for you, Madison, but follow-up question for you, Autumn. When did you know you wanted to do fashion, or like did you have like an aha moment, or was it like just always felt real, like felt good for you?
I don't know. It just felt like something I could do, like something I could be myself in. For me, it's just like the way I could express me by making things, or something like that. So, but it could really be like when I actually started, actually wanting to be somebody that's in fashion. It will be in the beginning of high school,
Nice.
because it's like I joined different programs in STEM and stuff like that, and it really like focused on Afrofuturism and stuff like that. So yeah, it just made me think more into being a fashion designer or something like that. So yeah.
I love. Thank you for sharing with us. This question is for you, Madison. Someone asked, "Thank you for the work that you do as a doula. It's so important. I have had a traumatic experience giving birth as well. Can you share with us about a time where you supported someone through a traumatic pregnancy or birth?"
That's a good question.
Also, without I'm not giving the information. Well, you know that.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I will say, this isn't necessarily a trauma, but sometimes babies will come and first-time mothers don't realize what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend whose child was coming and her water broke and she didn't know. So her water was probably broken for like a little under a week. And then she called them. But yes, girl. But just because your water breaks doesn't mean that the baby's coming. That's like a false representation of what happens during pregnancy. Your water could break and the baby will come 3 days later. It doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, the baby's coming, da da da. Yeah. And what happened was her water broke. It was kind of, so what happens if it breaks and doesn't break all the way? I'm giving y'all a lot of like doula information, but if it breaks, it doesn't break all the way, then they have to break the rest of it. So that was her idea, and she worked so hard for the way that she wanted her pregnancy, and it completely went in a different direction because of the way that things started to occur with her water breaking but not being fully broken. And she wanted to have a home birth, but we ended up having a birth in a hospital just for safety reasons. So I say all that to say that although that may not be, I mean, it could be considered traumatic if you've had expectation and a way that you wanted to deliver your child and it can't happen that way. However, birthing is a transformative experience, period. So it was just a matter of supporting her through the shifts and the changes that were going on that were leading to her child coming earthside. And I think like in any traumatic experience or transformative experience, right? Because we also want to use language to empower ourselves. And any transformative experience, to have the support and the love and care of others around you, that will always help get you through those challenging times. So we went through a whole whirlwind, but we were able to get baby boy earthside, and he was there safely, and that was the biggest blessing, although there were so many changes that occurred in the midst of him getting here.
Wow, that is beautiful. And thank you I feel like I've learned so much in these stories that you have shared, because the society tells us, media, even like books sometimes tell us that the water and that labor and contraction delivery is like only a few hours away. And it's like to know that your water can break like a week before, like that, I am just
Right.
Lord. Like I'm
Right.
just,
Her situation was that it's not common. That's not a common thing. So, and it was onset by other things, but it can happen. It can happen. Long story short, it can happen. Babies come in all different types of ways, y'all. You just never know. So you want to be in tune because you just never know how it's gonna take shape and take place. But yeah, some people's waters will break a whole lot earlier, and that just will let you know that the baby is on its way.
wow, thank you. Okay, and we have time for one more question for you, Madison, before we let you share all your things with us, where we can find you and all that. So this person says, thank you for mentioning earlier about ancestral veneration. I've been wanting to explore that for a while, but have been really hesitant. Can you give me any tips on where to start and how to start?
Yes, start with the candle. Get a white candle and get a glass cup and fill it with water and pray. Light the candle, get a 7-day candle. Light the candle and get your glass and pray and talk to your ancestors and let them know that, hey, this light and this light and this elevation and this clarity that's represented by the water and the candle that I have here are tools that I'm using to connect with you all and to elevate you all. This is what's been going on in my life. This is what I need help with. This is why I want to connect with you and be clear on your intentions with it, because these are tools that, just like anything else, could be used to elevate you or they could be used to be harmful to you. So you're clear on your intention and what you're inviting into your energetic space, because that's very sacred. And it's important to operate in those realms with a space of clarity and integrity. When you go to your ancestors or you go to the energetic, the energy and the energetic beings that surround you, you want to operate from a place of clear integrity and iwapile, character and integrity, because you're not the only person with ancestors that want to help. So, you know what I mean? So be clear on what you're doing it for. It shouldn't be selfish. And it should always be about something too, if I could just get into this really quick, something that I always have been taught and that I pray on a lot is asking for the fruit instead of the seed. Because a lot of times we're asking for the fruit of something. We're asking for the job. We're asking for the car. We're asking for the home, the relationship. And we are not paying attention to what needs to be developed within you in order for those things to become a part of your experience. See, something can't come into your experience until you are energetically aligned with it. So when we go to our ancestors and we ask them for their support in this elevation, we need to ask for the seed. Make me aware of the blind spots within my character so that I can elevate in my integrity and operate from a place of authenticity. Make me aware of what traumas I need to heal before I am ready to take that next step. Support me in gaining the clarity that I need so that I can continue to operate within the abundance that is my birthright. Help me to see what is available to me in the moments where I am ungrateful and dismissive of all that's been provided for me because it's not the way I want it to look like. These are the type of things that we need to speak to and convene with not only our ancestors, but our elders, our friends, and the people around us who we consider a part of our tribe. Those are the type of conversations, because money comes and money goes. Attention comes and it goes. But one thing that will last forever is the way that you feel and how that the feelings that you've had about yourself have impacted others.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to say Ashe because I receive it. And I hope folks who are tuned in and listening, you also receive it, because that was heard a time word. And often we are in the right place at the right time. So hopefully some folks who are joining today receive the message that lands good for them and makes you feel connected to anything that you need to be connected with or that you've been struggling to connect with. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm going to give you some space. We got like 3 minutes for you to plug your work. Where can folks find you? Where can they connect with you and all the things that you're doing?
Sure. My Instagram is _Madison Star. My Twitter is one Madison Star. My website for Madison Star Couture is www.madisonstarcouture.com. My music is available on SoundCloud and also streaming platforms. I have a song, a feature called Like That with my friend Sassa. That's really dope. And yeah, everything is Madison Star. If you put Madison Star in, you're going to find me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Autumn, for also spending your time with us and for connecting and being a voice in this space for young people like yourself. We see you and we always appreciate you. Thank y'all both for being tuned in, for giving wisdom, for sharing your knowledge of yourself. It is not easy being Black women, being Black girls, being gender expansive young people, but we are here to support each other, and I thank you for being a part of In My Black Feminist Bag. Which reminds me, I did not ask the pinnacle of the questions, y'all. Where is my brain? What's in your feminist bag, Madison? What's in your Black feminist bag, Autumn? I gotta actually wrap up.
Yes. What's in my feminist bag is joy, honey. Don't let this world rob you of your joy, okay, and your happiness and your ability to make something out of nothing, honey, because that's what joy and gratitude is seeing the possibility before it comes into fruition. So that's my joy.
Thank you. I love it. And I can see it's radiating. It's radiating today. I feel it. I'm receiving it all. Autumn, what is in your Black feminist bag?
All right. I agree with Madison, but something that I would say is in my feminist bag would be success and failure, because it's like you always have failures and success. It's just, it depends how you take it, and take it in a good way. If you fail something, it doesn't mean you didn't try your hardest. It just means you need to work a bit more harder. So yeah.
I feel that someone recently, I heard a quote that said life is like 10% what happens to you and like 90% how you react to it, or like what your next step is after it. So I'm connecting those two. Thank you, Autumn. I think that's all we have for y'all today. Again, thank y'all for viewing. Thank you for being present with us. It's such a blessing for y'all to continue to be a part of the work that GGE does. And please come back next week, Tuesday, 3 p.m. for the final, no, it's not the final, second to last, the 6th installation of In My Black Feminist Bag series. We'll be live with Shaniqua Shonday from Harlem, who plays Angie. We're super excited to be in convo with her as well. So again, thank you, Madison. We appreciate you so much. This has been a phenomenal and fulfilling conversation. And thank you again, Autumn. Thanks, folks. See you soon.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.